actually made it in the picture there. If not, somebody's gonna be really freaked out thinking this camera's moving all by itself.
All right. In the US, 50,000 people every year are sentenced to death. That's 137 people every day and more than 5 people every hour. Who are these people? They're men, women, and children across all ages, backgrounds, races, and income levels. So what do they have in common? They have all acquired HIV. Every year, 50,000 people in the US acquire HIV. Great medical strides have been made in prolonging the lives of victims, but there's still no cure. This is a picture of the HIV virus. It's the little green dots. They multiply, and once they enter the body, they cannot be eradicated. According to the Mayo Clinic website, they attack the immune system, and once the immune system is badly enough compromised, HIV becomes AIDS, which is the final stage before death. Despite millions spent on educational campaigns over the last 2 decades, people are still being infected with HIV, and many don't even realize that they have the disease. I recently attended a class where we learned about HIV, and there were 2 statistics that popped out that really brought into focus how close to home this issue is. The first was that 1 out of every 4 new HIV infections occurs someone who's between the ages of 13 and 24. Second, Texas is consistently above the national average for new HIV infections every year. In 2012, Texas ranked 3rd highest in the nation for new HIV infections. So, as you can see, this is an issue that really hits close to home for a lot of people, especially college-age people. So we're going to look at how bad the HIV situation is, why it hasn't slowed down despite educational campaigns, and then we're going to look at what we can do about it. So despite millions spent on education, HIV is still spreading at the same rate it was 20 years ago. In December 2012, the CDC reported that new HIV infections has been steady at 50,000 new infections in the United States per year since the mid-1990s. Courtesy of the CDC, you can see the HIV diagnoses broken down by state, and you can see that Texas is one of the highest ranking states. The dark blue states have the most new diagnoses, and that is per capita. So it takes into account the fact that Texas is vastly more populated than some of the other states. Here it is broken down by county. And don't let the white counties fool you. They still have new HIV diagnoses every year. This again was in 2013. This was the most current map that they have. And you can see that the darker the county, the more new HIV diagnoses there are. So now we know that HIV is still a problem. Let's look at why. One reason is people don't realize that they have HIV, and they're spreading it. When contracted, HIV immediately begins to replicate. Think back to those green dots on the previous slide. The body responds by producing antibodies. These antibodies are they're what the HIV test detects. But it takes 3 to 8 weeks after contracting the disease before your body has produced enough antibodies trying to fight HIV before a test can even pick up on the fact that you have it. And HIV can be present for years with no symptoms. According to CDC.gov, an estimated 1 in 7 people are living with HIV and they don't even know it. Even more disturbing, in the 13 to 24-year-old age range, 50% of those living with HIV are unaware. So HIV is spreading, and many people don't realize that they're carriers, so what can be done? We can be proactive. First is learning about the risks. AIDS.gov and CDC.gov have detailed information about how you can get and transmit HIV. Protecting yourself is the first step. But second is knowing your status. HIV shows up 3 to 8 weeks after it's contracted, but it can take up to 6 months before it shows up on a test. So WebMD recommends testing at 6 weeks, 3 months, and 6 months after you engage in any behavior associated with an HIV risk. And remember, this is especially important for college-age people because 50% of 13 to 24-year-olds are unaware that they're living with HIV. The slide has some local resources for testing, and you can always visit cdc.gov if you're not in the Midland area. So in conclusion, just remember, people are still being infected with HIV, and they don't realize that they're infected, so we've got to be proactive in stopping the spread. HIV has not slowed in the last 2 decades. It claims victims every day, but you can be a part of stopping it. CDC Director Thomas R. Frieden puts it best, that so many young people infected with HIV each year is a preventable tragedy. All young people can protect their health, avoiding contracting and transmitting the virus, and learn their HIV status. If you've never been tested for HIV before, give it some thought. Become part of the solution. Thank you.
Wait.